The Royal Ballet Company of Cambodia, about 60 people in all, arrives at Roissy Airport at the start of a 2-month tour. This is the first trip to Europe for most of these young Khmer women, and they will find much to surprise them while they are here. Their visit has been organized largely through the enthusiasm and persistence of their French tour organizer, Didier Vulcault.
I discovered Cambodia in 1996, so you could say I'm more of an enthusiast than a connoisseur. But enthusiasm is highly infectious. It is converts like me, with our naive zeal, who can suddenly make things happen, as we have done here.
Even if foreign audiences know nothing at all about Khmer history and don't understand the meanings of the movements in the dances of the Royal Ballet, they are still fascinated by their extraordinary technique. They are seduced by the glittering costumes, the singers and the intense concentration of the dancers. All these elements together have a hypnotic effect on audiences so that even if they don't understand what they see, they're captivated by the beauty and strangeness of the performance.
The dances of the Royal Ballet often represent Khmer and Indian legends. For example, Prince Vorchung is an important figure in the Buddhist pantheon. A good, honest character, he dances to show that he will be the loyal protector of his people. In the classical tradition, all the male roles are danced by women, apart from the monkeys. The Royal Ballet is to perform for one night only at the Opera House of the Palace of Versailles. The Opera House was opened in 1770 for the wedding of the future King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. It's a busy day for the young dancers. Five hours before the performance, they arrive backstage and embark on the unchanging ritual of putting on makeup and costumes. No matter what the venue, this ceremony is always the same.
Je pense qu'une des choses qui séduit, c'est la beauté des jeunes femmes.
I think that the charm comes partly from the beauty of the young women, a beauty that one cannot really get close to, since they are at the same time almost nun-like. Sumptuously dressed, covered up, you might say, from their feet, which are bare but decorated with anklets and quite untouchable, to their heads with their tiaras.
Jusqu'à la tête coiffée d'une tiare.
Not a single button or hook. The dancers are literally sewn into their costumes, bracelets, necklaces and tiaras.
Elles sont au fait une idée de la beauté.
In fact, they're an idea of beauty, rather than the kind of beauty you see on show in magazines. They're the opposite of Claudia Schiffer, anti-display.
Le contraire du donner à voir.
La beauté est quelque chose qui est inhérente à l'œuvre d'art.
Beauty is inherent to a work of art, even when art uses horror. Goya is a classic example, or Hieronymus Bosch with his devils. It's still beautiful. For me, the beautiful is beyond the merely pretty, but beauty is terrifying.
The Royal Ballet came to France for the first time in 1906, accompanying King Sisowat to Marseille and Paris. It was in the Bois de Boulogne in Paris that the sculptor Auguste Rodin saw the Khmer dancers for the first time. They were a revelation. It is impossible to see human nature carried to this point of perfection. There are none but these dancers and the Greeks.
On peut dire qu'effectivement c'est grâce à Rodin.
In fact, it's really thanks to Rodin that we see enthusiasm for the Cambodian dancers developing in the West, and particularly here in France. So why did this elderly gentleman take an interest in the Cambodian dancers at that time? He wasn't only interested in the Cambodian dancers. He was interested in dance in general and in movement. In the drawings on display in the Musée Rodin, he's interested first and foremost in movement, and it was this new type of movement which took him by surprise. That rendered him, as he said himself, delirious with artistic joy. What's interesting in Rodin's drawings is that you never see any jewellery, headdresses or costumes. It's really the movement that motivates and attracts him. And for him there's also the religious aspect. He said, "I have never made a distinction between religious art and art in general. He always saw them as the same thing." And the Cambodian dances are also the expression of a religious art. And then there's the beauty of the women themselves, and Rodin was in love with beauty. He said these women are all admirably beautiful, and when he watched them setting off on the boat from Marseille to Phnom Penh, he said, "I felt as though they were taking a piece of the world's beauty away with them."
The Royal Ballet uses its French tour to promote its image with a photo session in the great courtyard of the Palace of Versailles, an occasion not to be missed.